Okay, take two. Let's see if you can hear me any better now on my phone versus the iPad. So if anyone is still with me or has come back with me, let me know if you can hear me. I will in the entrance. See, I'm not feeling well. So if you are joining me and you didn't hear the first segment, I'm not feeling great. But the cake is going to make me feel better, so I'm going to try again. And not sure. Aaron, if you're out there, let me know if you can hear me. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking, and you can watch on replay. So what I was talking about was wedding insurance and the fact that we are, as event planners right now, bombarded with questions regarding event insurance. And, sorry, the dog is going to throw me off now, too. Just a great day. So insurance policies have changed, obviously, during the pandemic. And what is happening is that coronavirus is now a pre-existing condition. And so you can no longer cancel for no reason. And sadly, even if you or your fiance or an immediate family member gets sick with it, you are unable to use that as part of your policy cancellation. What I will tell you is that there are other things that can go wrong and why wedding insurance is obviously still so important. And that is things like doing weddings in the Keys for years, having insurance for hurricanes, having insurance in California for wildfires. Those things are all things that you don't know about that can creep up on you, obviously, in the time of your wedding. And you're all of a sudden 2 weeks out and a hurricane or a fire starts. Those are things that insurance policies do still cover. So there are a few companies that have gone out of business, obviously, with all of the claims made. And there are a few companies that have been around forever that are still at it. We have always suggested WedSafe. And WedSafe is a company that has been doing wedding insurance for many, many years and still actively taking policies. You can actually get a free quote right online, right on their website, and it is wedsafe.com, and on the header, I'm actually looking at it right now, it just basically says get a quote. It's going to ask you questions on date, location, budget amount, and you do need to know those in order to get a policy. Obviously, you have to have a location, a wedding date, and an idea of what your budget is. The other piece to wedding insurance that is still very critical is liability insurance. So as a planner, we have to carry a $2 million liability policy for our clients, and that is requested usually by any venue that we're working with. Any quality venue will typically ask you for your wedding insurance. A lot of times that has to do with liquor liability and the liability of someone getting hurt during setup or breakdown, or just in general if something's going on at the venue for a wedding. So you have the option of adding individual riders after your blanket policy as well, which would cover alcohol. If you're not getting married at a venue and you're getting married at a private location, such as a historic home or things like that, you can imagine that if a band plugs in and zaps all the power at somewhere like the Hemingway House in Key West, Florida, and it causes a fire to a historic home, that you do not want to be responsible for that. And so it's required by them to have these certain policies. But if you aren't getting married somewhere that requires that, you will want just to think about down the road what that looks like. And so you don't know what equipment your band is bringing. Obviously, you're hoping that they're bringing great equipment and that nothing like this is ever going to happen. But these are the things that we encourage people to buy policies surrounding. The other thing I'll talk about is the liability for alcohol. So when you are hosting a bar, when you are paying for the alcohol that people are drinking and consuming, and hopefully not getting in a car or being foolish and driving, ultimately you are responsible. You have purchased that alcohol and you're serving that alcohol. And your bartender and your caterer will have licensing for this, but ultimately comes back to the person paying the bill. So just keep those things in mind. This is why we buy insurance policies. It's no different than a car insurance policy or a homeowner's policy. You do it to protect yourselves. And the questions obviously that we're getting right now surround the virus and canceling and venues going out of business. And if you had a policy in place, then you're probably fine and you're probably covered. It's just now that people are starting to book new policies, they cannot get anything pandemic related covered. The other part to this is that if someone does get sick, if a parent becomes ill or someone in your immediate family becomes ill and the wedding is unable to take place, and I've seen this happen, sadly, you are covered as long as it's not virus related. I know I'm kind of being a broken record right now, but I feel like I have to keep saying this to people because I do keep getting the question. The best thing is to contact these insurance companies. Sometimes even a local insurance carrier will have a policy. Most of the time, they'll probably direct you to someone like WedSafe or I think WedInsure to actually go through these steps with you. But you obviously are not going to buy anything until you talk to someone and make sure that it is a right fit for you. It's no different than interviewing a planner or interviewing a DJ. You want to interview the insurance company and make sure you're not just buying something that at the end, if something happens, you're not going to be able to use. So our experience with these policies has always been fantastic when somebody had to use them. Obviously, 90% of the time, probably 95% of the time, no one has had to use them. The most coverage that I ever was involved in was because of hurricane season. And if you're getting married in December and a hurricane hits in June and the property has damage and is destroyed and not able to be the property that you purchased, this is when things like this come into coverage. And the same thing happening, like I said earlier, in like the California wildfires. So just make sure that it's a perfect fit. And I think that you will find it's an investment. Most people the average spend on a wedding for 50 people is $35,000. That's an investment. You don't want to lose that. I know, for instance, American Express, certain cards with American Express, and I think even Capital One have some protection as well on large items and things that you're buying for an event or for a wedding. So that actually would be another avenue to look at as a backup or a secondary insurance policy, is with your credit card companies. And I always tell people, when you're planning a wedding, try to use one credit card or one bank account for everything so that you can actually track where all those things and those expenses are going and coming from. The last thing you want to do is have to double pay someone. You don't want to have to go back through 5 credit card statements for months upon months. You don't want to have to deal with multiple bank accounts. You can even open a bank account or get a credit card jointly with your parents or your in-laws to be, and that way, again, it's just one central location, so that when you go to reconcile at the end, when people's final payments are due, you know what you've paid them. You have to look in just one place. We work with a spreadsheet system. That is Erin's favorite thing in the world, and we have a really great spreadsheet that she built that will track all of your expenses. So when your contract comes in, we list what that contract is, we list what you've paid for a deposit, and we actually will, then you'll see your balance in a column. Some people have second and third payment tiers that they go through. Other people will just have a final payment system. And that way you always have a complete accounting system that you can compare your wedding budget worksheet to your bank account or your credit card account. So that is what I'm telling you today. I'm telling you that I do think that it is still important to purchase wedding insurance through a reputable vendor. And I also am telling you that it is very important to keep your finances for your wedding all in one place. And these are things that we go through with our bridal retreat clients. These are things that we go through with our wedding clients. They're very important. It's also very important that you know, if God forbid something does happen, who you have to go back and track deposits from. So with that said, because I told you I'm not feeling great today, I'm going to cut it a little bit short, and I apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning. My throat is, my voice is actually going to give out, so I'm going to leave it at that. You can sign up at thebridalretreat.com and swivelgroupevents.com for our free wedding worksheets. And I believe we even have a free checklist. And also, I think we have a free vision boarding. So depending on which you sign up for, you will be able to use all these documents. And you can also back that up with a virtual call with one of us. So you can sign up for a virtual call, and we can actually answer any questions once you receive those documents and look at them if you need further information. So that's all I've got today. Thank you. And I will see you next week, and we'll talk about something a little more exciting maybe. Okay, guys, thanks. Have a great Saturday. Sunday. Have a great Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.